Recently, I've noticed white threads floating in the bathtub after Jason finishes his bath. When I ask him about it, he always dodges the question. The night before Jason went on a business trip, he gave me some essential oil that he said would help with my morning sickness. Following Jason's instructions, I used it every night, but then I experienced severe abdominal pain and had to call an ambulance. When I explained the situation at the maternity hospital, the doctor started trembling. He said the oil was dangerous for both the mother and the baby. Suspecting Jason of cheating, I called his company and found out that he had taken leave to match Ava's schedule. I went to Ava's apartment and waited in my car. Soon, I saw Ava and Jason walking towards me from across the street. I can't wait to live together soon. If this plan works, we can send Emily back to her parents. If we say she lost the baby and became emotionally unstable, it wouldn't be weird to live apart. It's her fault for getting pregnant without considering that I don't like kids. I collapsed onto the steering wheel, sobbing. Eventually, I lifted my head and vowed to get revenge on Jason and Ava. I'll never forgive them. My name is Emily, and I'm a 40-year-old housewife. I met Jason at work and married him 5 years ago. Jason works for a major company. He's a regular employee, but his diligent work earns him a high salary. Recently, I finally achieved my long-held dream of becoming pregnant. I spend my days looking at the ultrasound pictures, eagerly waiting to meet my baby. But lately, I've been filled with anxiety. Jason's behavior has been strange. Eventually, I realized Jason's true nature, and I got chills down my spine. I became close to Jason when we were assigned to the same team at his company's affiliate where I was working. Jason is not the type to be aggressive at work, but his bosses adored him, and his colleagues liked him too. I have difficulty communicating with people and take a long time to open up to others, so I admired Jason. When he asked me out, I seriously wondered what he saw in someone like me. When he proposed to me, I gathered the courage to ask him, and he answered with a gentle smile. I like how modest and obedient you are. Plus, I find you attractive. I was surprised, but happy since I was self-conscious about my baby face and petite figure. Later, we asked Jason's boss to act as our witness, and we got married. The first year passed without any issues, as we were both enjoying our newlywed life. However, by the second year, I started struggling to balance housework and my job. Jason forgot our pre-marriage promise to share the housework and began dumping everything on me. I know you work full-time too, and it's tough. But I can't relax when the house is messy. I was confused by his complaint. I did the dishes and laundry regularly. I just couldn't find time to vacuum every day, so there was a bit of dust in the corners. I wipe every day with a cleaning sheet. This is an apartment, so vacuuming early in the morning or late at night would be a nuisance. Yeah, but I'm a neat freak. It makes me uncomfortable. Despite saying this, Jason's study is a complete mess. He told me not to enter his study, so I only peeked from the hallway. Seeing the chaos inside, I was horrified. The room was littered with empty snack bags, beer bottles, and car magazines, leaving no place to step. His work desk is probably tidy because he cares about appearances. Jason's complaints didn't stop there. Lately, the meals have been lacking effort too. It's always pre-cooked food heated in the microwave. I want freshly made food. This is no different from store-bought deli food. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Calling the meals I prepared on weekends deli food was unbelievable. Look, keeping the house spotless and always having freshly made meals while working full-time is impossible without hiring a housekeeper. Then why don't you quit your job? Jason said coolly. But just become a housewife. I'll work to make up for it. A sense of unease washed over me. It might be fine for the two of us, but if we had children someday, we might not have enough for their education. As I hesitated to respond, Jason looked into my face and smiled gently. I'm worried about your health. It's hard to see you so exhausted every day. Jason. Please, become a housewife. I took pride in my job. The environment was good, and I wanted to continue until retirement if possible, but I didn't want to worry Jason. After much deliberation, I resigned from my job, despite my colleagues and bosses expressing regret. I've always been shy and slow to open up to others since childhood. But once I became friends with someone, I maintained a deep and lasting relationship. So I vowed to cherish Jason. Jason cherished me too. However, once I became a housewife and relied on Jason's income, he began to act more domineering towards me. What? Did the orthopedic doctor you've been seeing change? Yes. The previous doctor was a woman, but now her son in his 20s has taken over. She retired, and Dr. Anderson's son took her place. When I mentioned going to the doctor for a sprained ankle, Jason's displeasure was evident. Then stop going there. Switch to a hospital in the next town with a female doctor. But I was told to come until it's completely healed. No way. He raised his voice, which was unusual. The thought of you having a young man touch your ankle makes me sick. Are you okay with that? I was shocked by Jason's words. It's a medical examination. There's nothing I can do about it. There are other doctors. From now on, switch to another in the next town. Otherwise, I won't give you money for the doctor. Since Jason was so adamant, I did as he said. I laughed to myself, thinking he was just jealous, but it soon became no laughing matter. Next, Jason complained about my regular beauty salon. When I said my stylist was going on maternity leave and I would be seeing a male hairdresser, Jason secretly went to the salon and caused trouble. That guy's terrible. Charging $50 for a cut like that is a rip-off. Why don't you change to someone else? I was alarmed but spoke calmly. That's the going rate around here. He's highly rated by my friends too. In what way? He's just popular because of his looks. I bet he's hitting on clients. Don't say that. He has a wife and kids. Then it's definitely an affair. Jason sneered. The thought of that guy touching your hair with those filthy hands makes me furious and keeps me up at night. It's just a haircut. Stop being so ridiculous. I retorted, but his incessant complaints eventually made me switch to another salon. Soon, Jason began criticizing even my brief outings. A housewife going out all the time is strange. You should be more dedicated to your husband. What? I do all the housework properly. I didn't quit my job just to be cooped up at home. You know, I really want to go back to work. I think I could balance it with part-time hours. No way. Jason snapped. The housework would definitely suffer. I'm providing for you, so what are you dissatisfied with? I was speechless at Jason's furrowed brow. When I asked my college friend, Sarah, for advice, she was understandably shocked. Sarah works in HR at Jason's office. Jason listens to us at work and doesn't show any contempt for women. But in private, he's like that? He's a patriarchal nightmare. I don't want to fight with him, and he doesn't verbally abuse me, so I'm at a loss on how to handle it. Sipping coffee at a cafe, I sighed. If it gets any worse, talk to me. I'm on your side. Thank you. I answered with a smile, but gradually I started avoiding going out and became increasingly depressed. One day, I wasn't feeling well for a while. When I took a pregnancy test, it was positive. I screamed with joy in the bathroom. Considering my age, I had half given up, so I was overjoyed to the point of tears. When I told Jason after he came home, his face tightened for a moment before he forced a smile. Really? I can't believe it. Me neither. I'll get checked at the hospital tomorrow. I'll make sure it's a place with a female doctor. When should we tell our parents? Let's wait until we're in the stable period. That's right. We don't know if everything will go smoothly yet. Jason's words bothered me, but they were true. For now, I needed to focus on having a healthy baby. But while I was elated, Jason didn't seem pleased about the pregnancy. He had always said he wasn't fond of kids, and we had agreed to give up if we didn't conceive naturally. I hoped his feelings would change now that we were having a baby. There are plenty of people who don't like kids but love their own. So, I subtly brought up baby-related topics every day, hoping he'd start to feel the same. Liam, Noah, Olivia. Modern names are so stylish. Gender-neutral names are trendy now. Despite Jason being engrossed in his phone, I kept talking. Which names do you like, Jason? Can't you see I'm busy? I'll leave it up to you. His indifferent attitude was disappointing. Another day. You're taking a day off soon, right? I have a prenatal checkup that day. Let's go together. What would a man do there? It's got nothing to do with me. I felt my cheeks tighten. It's absurd to say it's irrelevant when he's the father. As I stood there stunned, he delivered the final blow with a smirk. I can't handle horror movies, so count me out for attending the birth. I was deeply disappointed by such a terrible comparison. I'm risking my life to give birth. However, struggling with morning sickness left me too exhausted to argue with Jason. With nausea, sleepiness, and fatigue, I could hardly stand in the kitchen or do cleaning. Spending entire days sprawled on the sofa wasn't unusual. I was worried Jason might complain, but seeing me rush to the bathroom several times a day made it hard for him to gripe. Listening to the sound of the shower while carrying the laundry down the hallway, I remembered. Jason always left white threads floating in the bathwater after his bath. Thinner than hair, these threads were about 3 centimeters long when scooped up. When I asked Jason, he paused briefly before shrugging with a wry smile. That's just grime. You've been slacking on cleaning the bath. No, it's not like that. I can't explain it well, but... All right. Just try to clean better. I felt like he was dodging the issue, but I didn't want to argue, so I stopped pursuing it. Not wanting to bathe in water with unknown substances, I decided to stick to showers for a while. The connection between Jason and the threads was unclear. Could it be related to his frequent late nights and increased business trips lately? One Friday, Jason approached me with a beaming smile. I have a business trip to LA starting tomorrow. I'm sorry to leave you alone for a week while you're dealing with morning sickness. It's your job, so it can't be helped. Take care. Yeah. By the way, I got something nice for you. He handed me a stylish white box. There were 7 small bottles with black caps inside. Is this aromatherapy oil? Yes, it's supposed to help with morning sickness. Jason's voice was excited. A colleague's wife tried it and said it helped her regain her appetite. Really? How do I use it? Just add it to your bath for an aromatherapy bath. I wrote down the instructions, so follow them exactly. Not being fond of artificial scents, I had never used aromatherapy oils or incense. I was grateful that Jason had written down the instructions. As I read the note, Jason reiterated seriously. Make sure to use it every day. It's for you and the baby. Got it. Thank your colleague for me. Starting the day Jason left for his business trip, I soaked in an aromatherapy bath every night. Without the white threads, I felt safe to bathe. 1 bottle for 200 liters of water? That's a lot. Pouring the oil into the bath, the aroma rose with the steam, filling the room. The relaxing effect seemed promising and beneficial for the baby too. I didn't notice any immediate effects, but by the time Jason returned from his trip, I hoped my appetite would be back. I continued using it with hope and reached the 5th day. During my bath, I felt a dull pain in my lower abdomen. Initially thinking it was due to constipation, the pain grew more intense. Groaning in pain, I changed into my loungewear and called an ambulance. Worried that something might have happened to the baby, I felt overwhelmed with fear. I mentioned my pregnancy and was taken to my maternity hospital. When I tried to explain my symptoms to Dr. Anderson, the female head doctor, she sniffed the air. Were you using bath additives? I was using aromatherapy oil in my bath. Dr. Anderson frowned. My husband said he got it from a colleague. It's supposed to help with morning sickness. Since the cause of my abdominal pain was unclear, I brought it just in case. When I handed the doctor the note and the bottle of aromatherapy oil, her face changed, and she began to tremble. Dr. Anderson? You've been using this in a closed bathroom every day? Yes. The doctor hesitated before speaking to me in a stern voice. The herbs in this aromatherapy oil cause uterine contractions. It's strictly forbidden for pregnant women. Your baby could be at risk of miscarriage. Everything went dark before my eyes. I felt faint but managed to stay conscious and urgently requested an examination. Thankfully, the baby was safe. The doctor said that I should be fine with some rest. I was hospitalized that night and took a taxi home the next morning. Even after returning home, I couldn't believe it. I had used it just as Jason instructed, and it nearly endangered our baby. I had to confront him. I waited until lunchtime and called Jason's phone, but it just kept ringing. A bad feeling crept over me. His recent cold attitude, the sudden increase in overtime and business trips. And now this incident. I've heard of husbands cheating while their wives are pregnant. I decided to call Sarah and dialed her number. Sorry to call during your break. I need to ask you something. Sarah gasped on the other end of the line. So you're somewhere with reception now. What are you talking about? Aren't you back at your parents' place because of your morning sickness? I heard it's in a rural area with poor reception. So I held off on messaging you. Jason said he was with you, so I thought it was okay. I'm at home. What? How is that possible? Jason told me he's on a business trip to LA. Sarah sighed deeply. He wanted to prevent me from contacting you. So his affair wouldn't be discovered. Exactly. Hey, is there a female employee who's taken leave at the same time? Hold on. Ava from accounting. Do you need her address? Yes, please. My anger overshadowed the shock. I was certain Jason was there. I hung up and drove to the address Sarah provided. My nausea was overpowered by rage. I parked my car in a spot where I could see the front entrance of the apartment building and waited for Jason and Ava to appear. My car was a common model, so there was little chance they'd notice me waiting. After about an hour, I saw a couple walking hand in hand from across the street. The flashy woman with Jason must be Ava. Jason, carrying a heavy-looking bag, seemed visibly excited. Seeing him enjoying his affair after putting me through so much made my cheeks burn with anger. Wow, this feels like a newlywed life. It's so fun. Her high-pitched voice echoed down the street. I can't wait to live with you, Jason. If this plan works, we can send Emily back to her parents. Divorce is tough, but separation is doable. Ava chimed in, agreeing with Jason's smug words. Blaming it on emotional instability after losing the baby makes separation seem natural. You're so smart. It's her fault for getting pregnant when I don't even like kids. Even after the two disappeared into the apartment, I stayed there in a daze. Then a fierce anger surged from the depths of my being. Tears began to flow from my eyes. I feel frustrated. And pathetic. I wanted to vomit, realizing I had trusted someone like him. I collapsed onto the steering wheel, sobbing. Eventually, I lifted my head, gritting my teeth, and vowed to get revenge on Jason and Ava. Jason and Ava. I will never forgive them. 2 days later. In the afternoon, I headed to Ava's apartment with Sarah, who had taken the afternoon off. I waited outside the entrance hall, staying out of the intercom camera's view. Hello? Oh, Sarah. What's up? When Sarah rang the intercom, Ava answered immediately. Her sickly sweet voice grated on my ears. I thought you were taking documents home to finish. You left some important papers on your desk. Ava believed Sarah's lie easily. Oh my, I completely forgot. Thank you so much. I'll come get them now. It's okay, I'll bring them up to your apartment. Really? Thank you so much. I'll unlock the door. As the door opened, we took the elevator up to Ava's apartment. Again, I stayed out of the camera's view while Sarah called Ava to the door. After a moment, the door opened, and Ava appeared wearing a hair turban and loungewear. Taking a shower in the afternoon, how luxurious. She might be planning to get cozy with Jason later. Thank you, Sarah. You're such a lifesaver, eek. Ava let out a sharp scream when she saw me peek out. She tried to close the door, but I wedged my bag in, forced my hand in the gap, and pushed the door open. Resigned, Ava allowed us into her apartment. From a room half opened at the back, I could hear Jason's baby talk. We tiptoed down the hallway and peeked into the room to see Jason, in just his underwear. Brushing a long-haired cat with a soft expression on his face. Good kitty, stay still. I'll give you a treat later. Your fur is so smooth, you're the best kitty in the world. Meow. I see. The white threads were actually the cat's shed fur. No wonder his body was covered in fur. He was brushing the cat shirtless. So, he was getting into the bathtub without rinsing off first? Knowing I would use it after him? Gross. Seeing Jason's affectionate face made my anger boil. He cared more about his mistress's cat than our unborn baby. The first to notice my resentful glare was the cat. It got scared and trembled, then darted to a corner of the room. What's wrong, kitty? Come play with daddy. So, since when did you become a daddy? Or did you get Ava pregnant too? Jason's eyes widened when he saw me in the living room. What? How? Jason, you're sloppy. Jason's eyes widened as Sarah stepped out from behind me. Oh right, you were friends with Sarah. Jason sighed as if exasperated, while Ava hugged him from behind. Jason, we've been caught. Don't worry, Ava. Leave it to me. Jason puffed out his chest, standing there in his underwear, looking ridiculous. I almost laughed despite the situation. Emily, how are you feeling? I told you countless times that I'm struggling with morning sickness. No, I mean, if you made it here, you must be fine. Did you not use the aromatherapy oil? Ava interjected. That's why both mother and baby are healthy. Oh, I see. You should trust your husband more. Seeing Ava smirking and Jason looking disappointed, I felt a surge of anger. I did use it. I was happy you cared about me and the baby. After that, I was in excruciating pain and had to call an ambulance. We almost didn't make it in time. As I shouted, Ava interrupted in her sickly sweet voice. Oh, what a shame. A baby that daddy doesn't want should just disappear. Do you realize what you've done? You tried to take the lives of me and my baby. No, that's not right. Jason said, laughing. Since the baby isn't born yet, it's not a person. Are you really pregnant? Or are you just pretending because you sensed I was cheating? Yeah, and the severe morning sickness is just an act. The sight of Jason and Ava laughing loudly makes my brain boil. I showed you the ultrasound picture. You could have borrowed it from another pregnant woman. Your belly is still flat, so I don't trust it. Maybe it's another man's child. You two, knock it off. Sarah scolded, but they kept smirking. Even if it's my child, I don't want it. He said, driving a knife through my heart. Don't get pregnant without my permission. You did something unnecessary. Why do you reject it so much? Do you really hate the idea of becoming a father? Are you that averse to children? When I asked, Jason frowned and spat out his response. Of course, I hate it. Once the baby is born, who will take care of me? Jason unleashed a torrent of complaints against me. Emily, you were cute when we got married, but now you're old and ugly. With pregnancy, you look terrible. You're skinny and pale. Your skin is rough. There's no femininity left. He pointed at me, shouting. How can you call yourself my wife looking like that? You're an embarrassment. I shouldn't have married an old woman like you at 35. And look at you, Jason. Your belly's growing, your hair's thinning. You're a full-blown middle-aged man. Jason completely ignored my words. On top of that, lately, all you talk about is the baby. Have you forgotten that I'm the head of this household? As my wife. You should prioritize me. I don't care about the baby. I was stunned by Jason's selfishness. He's like a child. It was clear that having him as a father would make both me and the baby miserable. Ava, who had been enjoying Jason's rant, chimed in. Jason isn't interested in a 40-year-old hag. Someone young and beautiful like me is more suitable. Yes, he seems to prefer anyone young and pretty. Sarah and I exchanged glances and nodded in agreement. Sarah pulled out a large envelope, not with documents, but with photos. Ava watched curiously as Sarah laid the photos out on the living room table. When Jason saw them, his earlier bravado vanished, replaced with a look of unease and restlessness. Ava, you recognize these people, right? They all work in the same sales department as Jason. What is this? I've collected some audio evidence. This is where the fun begins. No, please stop. Ignoring Jason's weak protest, Sarah pressed the play button on her phone's recording app. I'm secretly dating Jason. No one else knows. What, Ava too? Isn't she an old lady at 28? He switched to a younger girl like me. Jason told me I'm his ideal woman. We've been dating for 3 months. He's getting a divorce soon, right? Jason said we should keep our office romance a secret to avoid trouble. The spa trip during the business trip was so fun. As Ava's eyes narrowed, Jason looked increasingly anxious. Sarah, how did you find out I was dating these girls? You applied for leave and overtime on the same days as these girls multiple times. I'm in HR, so I noticed right away. When I confronted them, they were eager to spill everything. They all wanted to talk. Yeah, to a 24-year-old, a 28-year-old, and a 40-year-old are both old ladies. I sneered, causing Ava to flush with embarrassment. She looked up at Jason with teary eyes, her voice trembling. How could you? I can't believe you were seeing others besides me. No, it's not like that. You're the most important one, Ava. The others were just for fun. Jason stammered, trying to explain himself. Men need to blow off steam with other women to stay kind to the ones they care about. You like how kind I am, right? I felt a headache coming on. Why doesn't he just apologize instead of making things worse? Sure enough, Ava's face twisted in rage. What kind of logic is that? Why are you mad? You should be happy you're my main girl. What a joke. I had no idea you were this kind of person. Ava looked ready to claw at Jason while I watched her outburst with a cold gaze. Of course he's like this. He cheats without remorse and has no sense of fatherhood. He even tried to get rid of our baby. Ava stopped crying and stared at me intently. We both have terrible taste in men. Shut up. Don't lump me in with you. She lashed out at me, then turned back to Jason. You won't get away with this. That's my line. You acted like a victim, but you conspired with Jason to harm me and my baby. I addressed Ava in a stern voice. I've reported you both to the police. You're going to be arrested for assault. And I've recorded everything you said today as evidence. Jason looked panicked as he turned to me. Arrested? You're turning your husband in? If you do that, the baby's father will be a criminal. The hospital is required to report such incidents. Dr. Anderson likely already did. And don't worry, I'm divorcing you. Jason and Ava exchanged nervous glances before launching into desperate self-defense. I have nothing to do with this. Jason was the one who planned and executed it all. Hey, you suggested making her sick with the aromatherapy oil when I complained about her being a nuisance. Excuse me? You asked for advice on how to get rid of her without a messy divorce. It was your idea. Who thinks of using aromatherapy like that? You must be a criminal yourself. You're one to talk. You said it would be fine, but then you go and cheat and get caught so easily. I should never have gotten involved with you. Ava sobbed and screamed, while Jason clicked his tongue in irritation. Annoying. Women think they can get away with anything by crying. Pathetic creatures. Just then, the doorbell rang. Yes, we've been expecting you. Please come in. Sarah answered cheerfully, making Jason look puzzled. Someone visiting? Yes, Nathan. Ava's crying stopped abruptly. Nathan? I live-streamed our conversation to the company's group chat. He came rushing over. Jason's face went pale. Of course it did. Nathan had been the one who acted as our witness at our wedding. That's why Jason wanted to avoid a divorce and tried to make me sick and send me back to my parents to save face for Nathan. Ignoring Jason's panic, Sarah invited Nathan in. After a while, Nathan arrived, his face burning with anger. Ah, Nathan. Jason and Ava greeted him with strained smiles, but Nathan spoke sternly. Both of you are being transferred to the sidelines starting tomorrow. No way. I was caught up in this. I was about to become a section manager in the spring. Now my promotion is delayed? Nathan glared sharply at Jason, veins bulging at his temples. I thought you were diligent at work, but I never knew you were like this. I'm deeply disappointed. Nathan, it's her fault. I didn't want kids, but she went ahead anyway. Jason pleaded tearfully, but Nathan looked at him with icy disdain. Forget about promotion. You're now a prime candidate for dismissal. If the company's performance declines, you'll be the first to get fired. Good luck. With that, Jason's expression turned to despair. Nathan turned to me and apologized. I apologize for the trouble caused by my subordinates. They will be held accountable. If you need any testimony, please let me know. I'm sorry for causing trouble as well. I apologized to Nathan. Jason and Ava slumped to the floor, their heads hanging low. After putting me through so much, did they really think they could continue living peacefully? I was appalled by their audacity. Sarah is helping me pack, and I'll be going back to my parents' place. Send the divorce petition to my parents' house once you've signed them. I'll be claiming alimony and child support through a lawyer later. I watched as Jason nodded yes, weakly, then left Ava's apartment with Sarah and Nathan. The next day, Jason and Ava were arrested for assault but were released a week later on probation as it was their first offense. They soon broke up. They continued working at the company in their sideline positions, but the widespread rumors made their work unbearable, and they eventually quit. I received alimony from them, so I didn't care what happened to them afterward. Ava disappeared, while Jason, disowned by his parents, took on multiple part-time jobs to make ends meet. Sarah, who saw him in town, said he looked nothing like the man who once worked at a major company, now shabby and worn out. Jason's parents, having learned about the incident, came all the way from the countryside to apologize to me. They had always been kind to me, and I held no grudge against them. When my daughter was born safely, they cried with joy. So I plan to take my daughter to visit them during holidays. If my daughter ever wants to meet her father, I'll set conditions, such as accompanying her, to make it happen. Seeing my daughter's innocent smile makes me pity Jason, who said he didn't want her. Motherhood is challenging, but I'm truly glad to be her mother. I want to continue watching her grow, surrounded by people who love her.